Coming before us soon on the floor will be the Postal Reform Act. This is a matter which is timely because we understand that our Postal Service is in a situation where it currently is losing millions of dollars every single day. Because many things have changed in America, the use of the internet, email, bill payer, fewer people are using the Postal Service. Less revenue is coming into the Postal Service. And so they are trying to reconcile today's demands with the actual costs that they face. Several years ago, we said to the Postal Service, we think the day will come soon when you have more retirees than actual workers. So start banking money for retirement and health care for those who will need it in years to come. We set a number, about $5 billion a year, and they kept up with it for several years, but then found they couldn't meet that requirement. So the Postmaster General came through with a sweeping plan in terms of cutting costs at the Postal Service. I understand the imperative to do that. I question the premise of his statement because one of the first things he said was, we're going to change the Postal Service, and the first thing we'll do is slow down delivery. If there's ever a marketing technique designed to fail, it's an announcement that you're going to slow down the delivery of your product. And that's what he said. I'm sorry he did. So now we're in a predicament or a situation where we are trying to find alternatives to the Postmaster General's proposals. We have been given until May 15th. We need to get the Postal Service reform right. It is one of the most important institutions in America. It is protected and embodied in the Constitution. There are hundreds of thousands of men and women who are serving us in the Postal Service. A fourth of them are veterans who have served our country and have gone to work for the government. When you ask people across America which function of government do you respect the most, the Postal Service comes out on top. Because we know our local letter carrier. In my neighborhood, it's David Lashley. David's been my buddy for 20 years. I've known him for that long or longer, and he is a friend of my family. He's not just the person who brings the mail. And the others before him the same way. It's a personal relationship with government that very few people have. But the letter carriers, the postal clerks, the folks who do the processing and distributing are doing an important job. The Postal Service has an amazing history. Just as a reminder, on May 7th, 1833, there was a 24-year-old young man who was named the postmaster of a small town in central Illinois. It wasn't his last government job. The town was New Salem, Illinois. The young man was Abraham Lincoln. He got his start in the Postal Service. That is a tradition that goes back even before him. What we need to do is work together on a bipartisan basis. Let us build a Postal Service that will serve us in the 21st century. Let us try to make certain that we find new ways to cut costs that are reasonable, to enhance revenue that makes sense, and make certain in the process that we don't damage the brand. The U.S. Postal Service is the best in the world, the most affordable in the world, and we can make sure that it continues to serve our nation and our economy. It is critically important to those of us who represent states with small towns. I know that every small rural post office cannot survive. Many of them have failed in the past. But we have to understand what a critical element that rural post office is to the culture of these communities, to the identity of these communities, in some cases to their very existence. So let us find flexible ways to reduce costs and still recognize that reality.